So it's been a good few months since Fernando Alonso announced his departure from Alpine F1 team and at the same time announced his next move to Aston Martin. And up until now, I haven't really had an opinion on the whole situation. Of course, I did realize that he was leaving a team that did pretty well in 2022 to go to a team that, well, didn't. Alonso left mostly because of the contract issues he was having with Alpine. He wanted another contract extension with the team, but they only offered him a 1-year contract extension because they wanted to replace the mighty Alonso with a younger Oscar Piastri the next season. Time went on and Alpine managed to fumble the bag so hard they ended up losing both drivers to different teams. The contract issue is probably one of the biggest reasons why he left Alpine, but there was more to it. Another problem was Alonso's teammate, Esteban Ocon. Ocon is infamously known for racing his teammates way too hard for his own good. We've seen this with Perez and now again with Alonso. He'll give way to other drivers while trying to defend against his own teammate. It's insane. But of course that's not enough to take down Alonso. The last straw was the car itself. If you've seen the 2022 F1 season, then I challenge you to remember a single race where Nando didn't have some sort of issues with his car. It's near impossible. The Alpine itself wasn't slow by any means. I'd say it was the 4th fastest car on track for the most part this season. But what good is it if you can't actually finish the race in it? Alonso retired from 6 races last season. That's triple the amount of retirements as opposed to his 2021 season. As you may know, Aston Martin is essentially just a rebranded Racing Point formerly known as Force India, whose best ever season in F1 pretty much only came because they copied the 2019 Mercedes W10. They seem to have had another attempt at that this season when they supposedly copied Red Bull's side pods, but that didn't really work out this time. So what's the big problem here? Aston Martin has some pretty decent infrastructure in the works and there's quite a decent amount of money being poured into the team. What's the problem? Well, last year the former team principal at Aston, Otmar Szafnauer, left the team in a really strange fashion, saying that the responsibilities had been taken away from him. Otmar was involved with this team for 13 years. The fact that he left now in the way that he did tells me that something isn't exactly right with the management of Aston Martin. And if there's something you may notice from bigger teams like Mercedes or Red Bull, it might be their team principals, Toto Wolff and Christian Horner. Say what you want about these guys, but there's no doubting that they played key roles in bringing both their respective teams to the top of F1 and keeping them there. Management is very much a make or break sort of thing in the world of F1, and if Aston Martin haven't got it together, then it doesn't matter how much money they throw into the team, they most likely won't succeed. But back to the topic at hand. Fernando will be racing for Aston Martin in 2023 whether you like it or not, and I think you're aware that he isn't exactly the youngest driver on track anymore, so his time in the sport is most likely limited regardless of what the memes say. So what Aston Martin need to do is build a good car for Alonso to do well in, because as we've seen in the past, Nando can pretty much get 110% out of any car he drives, but if it's slow, it's slow, and that's where the magic ends. Look back to the Alonso McLaren days, a pain for any Alonso fan like myself, seeing the most talented driver on track being wasted in a piece of crap car. And I'm afraid the possibility of that happening again is there. Like I said before, the greatest car racing point ever made was in 2020, and that was a copy. I think they just got lucky. If that can happen with Fernando, then you bet Aston Martin will be racking in some crazy results, but I'm realistic in that aspect, and to be honest, I think the chances of that happening are really low, especially after seeing the 2022 Aston Martin. And because of that, even though I think Fernando is still performing better than most drivers on track at 41, and if you gave him a championship contending car tomorrow, he could still fight for the title, I don't think he himself would want to go through another McLaren Honda phase. And so if Aston don't deliver with a good car in the next 2 years, which I think may very well happen, but hopefully won't, I think then Alonso will retire. Unless a big team offered him a contract, I think that would be the end. And the sad part is, this is what I think is most likely to happen, but I hope I'm wrong. That would be a huge shame since I don't think Nando has had the best opportunities in his career to show what he really is made of, since his prime was pretty much spent at a dysfunctional Ferrari. But nevertheless, if this is the end, I can still say that I think Fernando is the greatest driver there ever was. Sure, he doesn't have the numbers to prove that, but his performances sure do. And until another driver does what he's done, I don't think anything can take that away from him. But that was all my opinion, guys. Do you agree? Do you not? Let me know down in the comments below. It's a good way to start a civilized discussion with others, and also it's great for the YouTube algorithm, so it's a win-win situation. If you did end up enjoying this video and want to see more, please like the video and maybe even subscribe to help turn this channel into something. But really guys, thank you all so much for watching, and on that note, I hope you all have a blessed night, and I'll catch you all next time.